Hi, Fortified fam. How are you doing? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another video. One of the key objectives of this ministry is to share Bible stories and biblical principles in a way that is applicable to our daily lives. So today I'm going to be sharing from the story of Elisha and the widow's oil, which can be found in 2 Kings chapter 4 from verse 1 through to verse 7. So I'm going to do a synopsis of it, and then we can break it down, do a deep dive to just take out the gems that are applicable to our own lives or to the lives of other people that we know. We can always share what is not directly applicable to us at the time. So let's get into it. The story starts with a woman who is a widow. She goes to the prophet Elisha, crying, telling him that she's a God-fearing woman, yet her husband had passed and she's in dire need of some assistance. In addition to her current situation where she needs support, she needs help with her finances or taking care of her household in whatever way they did at the time, she was in debt, and that certainly compounded their situation, making the situation even worse. The lady said that if they don't repay their debt urgently or as soon as possible, the debtors are going to come and claim her two sons as their property or as their slaves. So the lady was really in distress. In response to her, the prophet Elisha said, "How shall I help you? What do you have in your house?" The lady responded that, "I have nothing except a bottle of oil." So the prophet told her, he instructed her now to go ahead, go to your neighbors' homes, borrow all the empty containers that you can. And once you've done that, you get into your house along with your sons, close the doors, and pour the oil that you have into those containers. As long as you continue to pour the oil, it will continue to flow. So ensure that you get as many containers as you can. Now, when you do that, you're going to sell the oil and you're going to use the money to clear your debt, and you're going to live on the rest of the money, or you're going to use it to sustain your household. The lady did as instructed, and it yielded the desired results. That's a story that many of us know from Sunday school or Sabbath school, but we only looked at it from the standpoint of a woman in the Bible who was a widow and the prophet Elisha. It didn't have much meaning for us in terms of life application at the time because we were still very young. But as we grow older, these stories become more applicable. They become a part of everyday life. We can see them in our lives or in the lives of people that we know. So let's get into the life application component. Let's break it down. Firstly, the woman, she was in a situation that was beyond her control. She was a widow. She got married and her husband passed away. No, she didn't ask for it. She didn't buy it. She didn't sign up for that. That was just a hand that life had dealt her. But one of the things that I liked the most was that she just didn't lay down and play dead, because she could have done that, right? Especially the fact that she was also in debt as a result of that, and she was responsible for their two children. Things were hard. But what the woman did, she got up, she was proactive, she got up and she sought the help and the support that she needed. No, sometimes life will deal us a hand that we didn't ask for, like this woman, and then we now have the decision to make. What are you going to do? Are you going to allow it to overcome you, or are you going to overcome it? Are you going to get up and do the needful? Are you going to seek the support that you need? The support, it doesn't even have to be financial. It can be anything. Is it a support to start your business? Is it that you need information? Is it that you need mentorship? Is it that you need, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that is in your hand, and you need support for it, the onus is on you to go ahead and find seek that support that you need. No, importantly, the woman said to the prophet, I am a God-fearing woman, and this is the situation that I am enduring. I'm going to backtrack just a bit to talk about the society. Now, the woman, she found herself in that situation, but it's not like we're saying she was a lazy woman because she didn't have a job or she didn't have some passive income on the side. This is society at the time. It was very different. So the society was completely patriarchal during that time, or patriarchal as some may say, where men not only controlled the means of production, but men were the sole breadwinners for their families. They worked or they operated businesses or whatever they did, but maybe it's in the field, maybe it was an agrarian society or an agricultural society, but whatever the work involved, it was men who did the physical labor on the outside of the household. It was men who was earning, whether it was in money or whatever the currency of exchange was before doing that, while the woman was in charge of the domestic sphere. She was in charge of the children and all of that. So even in the Bible, many times women are like widows, are in the same category as people who need help, people who are poor. So we know that women, they often needed to be married in order to have their husband care for them financially while they took care of the homes. That was just the setup of the society. So she was in a really precarious situation. She was in a bad spot. She needed help. And she wasn't just pretending to need help. From society's point of view, that was pretty bad. And even looking at it now, that was a pretty dire circumstance to be in. Now, the prophet Elisha asked her what she had in her hand and how he can help you. Sometimes, if we're going to ask for support to do whatever, if we need somebody to collaborate with us for business, or if we need someone to partner with us for some form of project that we're working on, it is important for us to have an idea of how they can support us or what their contribution would be to that endeavor. Don't just go as a blank slate. Have an idea of the type of help that you need. This woman, she responded that she had nothing with the exception of some oil. And it tickled me a bit because it is so natural for us, especially if you're in a situation where you need some support. It's so natural to think of the things that you have, which are equivalent to your oil, as nothing or nothing but. For example, I have nothing except the qualifications. I have nothing except the degrees. I have nothing except the skills, the singing skills, the dancing skills, the acting skills. Or I have nothing with the exception that I am a fantastic athlete. So we often think of the things that we have that are actually, or the assets that you have that can be used to generate wealth or to create a business. You often think of them as being nothing because you need some help to develop them in a way that would be more profitable or in a way that would be more productive. But it is never nothing. You always have something. And in fact, in the Bible, many of the miracles that we saw, they started from what was in the person's hand. It started from what you had in your home. It started from your oil. An example of this is when the Lord asked Moses, what do you have in your hand? Which was his rod. And that was when the Lord had called Moses to deliver the people of Israel from Pharaoh. So Moses was God's representative as the deliverer. And he said that, he doesn't have anything. And God said, what's that in your hand? And it was his rod. And that is what God used to execute the miracles. Also, in the story of the little boy, when Jesus fed the multitude, the little boy, he only had his lunch. It was 5 loaves and 2 fish, or 2 fishes, as you may say. And the little boy, that was what? To feed an entire multitude. There are so many other stories. For example, the other one with the other story with the widow, all she had was flour and oil, and she said that she's about to use to eat that along with she and her son. They're about to eat that, and that's going to be their final meal because things are hard. And the prophet Elijah had gone to her and asked her to make him a meal from it, and he did promise her that he's going to work a miracle, or the Lord would work a miracle through him to increase that. So it's always, the starting point is always, what do you have in your hand, or what do you have in your home? What is your oil? So the next time you're wondering, what is my thing, or what can I do? If you need to create a business, or if you need to do something to generate a second income, what is it that you have in your hand? What is it that you have at home? What is your oil? That is a great starting point. What are the talents that you have, the assets that you have? That's always the best starting point. Also, the woman, when she went to the prophet, she did mention that I am a God-fearing woman. Why am I enduring these situations? That is important. That shouldn't be left out at all. Here, we're seeing where the woman is sure of her identity. And it's important for us as children of the Most High God to always be secure in our identity and to always be firm about it. Understand it, that as a child of the Most High God, provision, it is our birthright. Here the woman was saying, I'm living upright. I am following the statutes of the Lord. So I'm taking care of the responsibilities. So I should also have access to the rights. And she is in fact correct. As a citizen of heaven, or as a child of the Most High God, we do have rights and responsibilities. And if you're doing what you're supposed to do, then provision should be a natural right. And provision does not necessarily mean that it's going to come in the form of manna from the sky. Provision could come in the form of your job, your business. It could come in the form of somebody else, whatever it is. But provision, your birthright. So that was important to know. No, the prophet Elisha instructed her to go and get the jars from her neighbors and to return home with her sons, shut the door, and start pouring the oil. That is certainly also important. Everything is important, right? Yes, it is. So here he gave her instructions to go and get as many jars as you can and come back and pour the oil. Shut the door. That's important. Many times we forfeit a miracle. Many times miracles can die in their embryonic or in their very early stages when they're fragile, because you refuse to be obedient. If you refuse to follow the instructions that you were given, then you're putting the miracle at risk. Miracles are fragile when they are young, when they're in their state of infancy. Now this woman, luckily, she was obedient. She went, she got all the jars that she could. Her sons also helped her with that. They got in, they shut the door. And listen, the close the door part, that part, it couldn't be any more important, especially in our current context where we post everything on social media. Everything that's going on, people find the need to say, hey, this is what is happening. You could be at the very start of a miracle. And if you decide to post if you decide to be jeopardizing it, you don't have to post everything on Instagram or TikTok or whatever the social media platform is. There's a time and a place for everything. And the best course of action is to give the miracle time to mature, give the miracle time to come to full fruition. Let it become what it was intended to be. And believe me, always speak for themselves. The fruit will speak. So you don't have to try to go and advertise it prematurely. Give it time, and then you will have even more to share later. It is not that the woman was gatekeeping the miracle either. It's just that she's waiting until the time is right. No, she went and she closed the door. She did all of that and she poured. My friends, as long as the woman poured the oil, it continued to flow, which means that it was important for her to get as many containers as possible. Her obedience, the miracle hinged on her obedience, or the level of the miracle, it hinged on her obedience. And many times, the miracle hinges on our own obedience to what the Lord has asked us to do. I did a video yesterday, you can check it out as well. It's a short video on the importance of obedience, where I was sharing that partial or delayed obedience, it is still equal to disobedience. So if you're doing what you were told by the Lord to do, or instructed by the Lord to do in part, or doing it later than He told you to do it, you are still being completely disobedient, because there is a time frame in which He expects you to act. There's a time frame in which there is grace for that action. And if you deliver outside of that timeline, then the results will not be the same. Certainly, the Lord does offer grace, but if you miss the timeline, you are jeopardizing your miracle. So the lady did, the widow, she did as she was told, and she poured, and there was an abundance of oil. And she, of course, did what the prophet instructed her to do, telling her that she should sell the oil and clear her debt, use the rest to sustain her family. My friends, just like that, the woman, her life changed from being a poor widow to a debt-free entrepreneur. Just like that. I'm telling you, it's a fascinating story. It is a popular story. We've heard it so many times. But if you do a deep dive into the video, it is easy to see that there are so many gems in there. And there are so many gems in all of the stories of the Bible, really. It has life application principles that are applicable to us, to everybody. There is something that you can extract from it. No, it happened suddenly. She had a need. She went to the prophet and he instructed her. She did what she was supposed to do, and just like that, her life changed instantly. It all hinged on her obedience and her willingness to be proactive and to seek the help that she needed. She did that, and it changed quickly, suddenly, supernaturally. My friend, may that be your story. May it happen quickly, suddenly, and supernaturally for you, in the mighty name of Jesus. I hope you were blessed. I hope that there is something from this video that you're able to apply to your own life or to share with somebody. It was certainly a blessing reading the story and just analyzing. Just it was certainly a pleasure going over this story. God bless you, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, remember that you're always fortified by God. God bless you. Have yourselves a good night.